Have you ever bought a pint of blueberries and had to find out how unpleasantly soft they are when you tried them? Since blueberries are soft fruits, they go through rapid softening during transport and storage. This leads to bad consumer experience and reduced profitability for the industry. By developing blueberry varieties with better texture, we can make them more appealing to consumers and increase their market value. Now, how do you do that? The first step is to find the key component that determines fruit texture. What decides the texture of a blueberry? Imagine that there's a balloon in your hands, and we'll think about how different factors can affect the texture of that balloon. First, the amount of air inside the balloon can affect the firmness. If you inflate the balloon with a lot of air, it becomes firm. Less air will make it softer. The material filling the balloon can be important too. If you fill the balloon with water, it will be squishy and flexible, whereas filling it with peanut butter will make it thick and dense. In the case of blueberries, we don't have a clear picture yet on what determines the texture of the berry. There are a lot of instruments that people have been using to evaluate the texture of a blueberry, and out of those, an instrument called FFAR has been the first choice for a lot of people traditionally because it's fast and easy. It squeezes the berry a little bit and decides how firm it is. However, FFAR only collects one data point from each berry, which is simply not enough to fully understand the overall texture that can be pretty complex, as we've seen with the example of a balloon. To overcome this limitation, I'm using something called a texture analyzer, which allows us to measure multiple texture components of the fruit instead of measuring just one. For example, if you think about understanding the flavor of a complex dish, while traditional methods only evaluate the sweetness of the dish, now we are capable of evaluating saltiness, sweetness, spiciness, and aroma. So in other words, the texture analyzer offers a more comprehensive understanding of the blueberry's texture. What's truly exciting is that this new method provides us with a wealth of data, enabling us to predict how the texture of blueberries changes over time during storage. We can start to identify which texture component at the time of harvest is most related to shelf life, texture quality, and consumer experience. We can also link this to the genetics of blueberry to develop DNA markers related to shelf life texture. The ultimate goal of my research is to help breeding programs, using what we've learned, to develop better varieties that can maintain their texture for a long time during storage. So next time you find yourself in front of a display of blueberries at the store, we want you to feel confident that you're not buying a pint that's full of mushy blueberries.